Is .como a thing?
I don't know.
What are those called? I always forget all the dots.
Oh, domain names? Domains?
Like head, it's like overhead,
What?
It starts...
Top level domains. That's what they're called.
I was right.
Oh, you were right.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to WayTooBroad, a show and tell program for really, really ridiculously excited grown-ups. Did I say program? This we'll find out when I'm editing. I'm Hannah, and these are my co-hosts, Erin and Ben. Hi, Erin.
Hey.
What's your opinion on the program situation?
You know, I didn't hear it, but I'm excited to hear it in playback. Hey, Ben.
Hello.
Ben,
how are you?
what's your opinion on the program situation?
I love it. Love every second of it.
It's been quite a week here in the United States of America.
Yeah.
We're all coming to you from, I would say, somewhat self-imposed isolation at our homes.
Yes.
Is that accurate for everybody?
We always
Ben, you're
come
not
to
going
you
work
from our
anymore,
homes, but this time...
I went to work today.
You did?
Today was my last day of going to work there. For officially a week, but the number I'm hearing that's more likely is 6 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, week seems like who
Not enough.
is reading what, because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the only official communication we have is that we're officially we're trying out working from home next week. And then, but we're going to keep working from home. Especially since there was a confirmed case at Harvard
Jesus
today.
Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 2 more people getting tested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that means there's way more because we don't have enough test kits. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
So assume you're carrying it, stay in your house.
Yeah. Massachusetts as a whole has been inching up day by day, which is crazy because Thursday, we're recording on Friday. Thursday night, I came home from work and had a low fever, like 100.4. I had this throat scratch that started the week before this past week and then went away over the weekend and then came back. So I convinced myself it was something I was allergic to in the building at work, but then I had a fever. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to stay at home on Friday and work from home. But I called my doctor's office. I called their after hours line. And I also sent a message to my doctor and they were both pretty much because there's not enough tests, even if you have and I have a cough too. I have a fever. I have a cough. I have I think the cough is, not necessarily the right type of cough. And I think it's more driven by the scratchy throat thing, but it's still I don't think we know a ton about how mild cases manifest in terms of symptoms. So no one in the medical community that I talked to about my case, said, oh, you probably don't have it. That's not something they're saying. They just said, unless you, start having trouble breathing or you find out that you've had contact with a confirmed case, you can't be tested. They just can't spare the tests.
Right.
So it's just who fucking knows? Yeah. So I'm just...
It's it's really concerning because it's just the cases in the U.S. are just, they're completely inaccurate, right? The numbers that we're seeing, there's no way that they're even close.
Even with the inaccurate numbers, we're seeing a 33% increase per day, which is about the pace that Italy is on.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at Massachusetts numbers, the majority of them are still coming out of this one meeting that happened in Boston. This company called Biogen had a conference of managers and stuff. And then they all went home and it was later learned that someone who was at that conference had COVID-19. And so they started testing all their contacts and stuff. So it looks like that was that was a major event, but really that just is where we're seeing the confirmed cases coming from because that's the the only people that they're testing. So, you know, it's just like, what the fuck?
There's a Biogen office like right next to my parents' neighborhood. Like it's the last thing I pass before I turn into my parents' neighborhood.
Oh my gosh. Is that where the confirmed case was in North Carolina?
I don't know. I mean, the confirmed case was in that county. Yes.
Yeah. So it might have been the same meeting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was, I don't know if anybody caught the press conference today. But they're going to start a website, and that we'll know when that website's going to be up on Sunday. And then whenever that goes up, then you can take a survey on there to find out if you should have a test. And then maybe they'll tell you how to get a test from there. Like,
we don't have enough tests. The fuck is that?
Well, you know what it is? I think I missed the beginning of the press conference, to be fair, but there was a company there called Roche, the CEO of a company called Roche that's like a bio, like they create tests and stuff, and that's the first like private company that has had a test approved by the FDA. So I think what's supposed to happen, because they had like the CEO of Walmart there and Target and Walgreens, I think what's supposed to happen now is they're going to start distributing those to all those stores, and then it's going to like ideally allow a lot more people access to the testing. But no one really talked about whether that's going to cost, who's paying for that. So I'm hoping it's not us, because that doesn't seem fair. So yeah, but there's no details yet, just a big press conference about it.
Good times.
Yeah. But I will say, I, in some ways, feel like I've been practicing for social distancing and self-isolation my entire life. I feel like very well equipped. If our house was a little bit bigger, that would be even better. But we have a million ways to entertain ourselves. We have plenty of food. We have no desire to leave the house, even in the best of times, really. So,
yeah,
so, like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I too feel extremely ready. Like, I'm just, you know, our company went fully remote, starting on Thursday. I worked from home Wednesday, and then they made the decision to go fully remote. They're starting immediately on Thursday. But we've had a lot of like discussions about like, how are you? How is your setup? Are you going to be comfortable and happy? And I'm like, I'm going to be very comfortable and very happy. Like, I'm obviously like extremely concerned and worried about what's going on around me. But as far as like the one thing I can do, right, like, is be here. And I feel ready and, you know, grocery shopped and prepared to be here indefinitely. So I feel at least there's that, right? The one thing I'm being asked to do, I can do it, and I can do it well. So yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah. It's like a weird kind of crisis, because the last thing you feel like should be helpful is like the most helpful thing.
Right.
It's just like, stay at home and do nothing.
Right, exactly. What, you're just going to stay at home and do nothing? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's my civic duty to stay at home and do nothing.
It's like the best thing I'm at. The best thing I'm at. Does that make sense? The thing I'm best at.
Yeah.
I love how you really tried to make that work.
The best thing I'm at is home. Is being home.
Yeah.
The best thing I'm at is home.
That makes sense. That's great.
The best thing I'm at is home.
Oh, I have some upfront stuff though.
What's up?
If we're done with the COVID-19 frustration segment, of the podcast. Everybody stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face, try not to leave your house if you can help it. Don't come to my house.
I would say don't leave your house. I would say get everything you need and do not leave your house. This is what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to escalate that.
Go ahead and escalate it. Thank you for escalating. I see your escalation and I raise it. No. I wanted to give a big shout out to Aunt Brown, who is maybe the first confirmed case of doing her, bad way to put it.
Wow.
Maybe the first. first listener ever.
Jesus.
Wording.
The first listener ever to have actually done our homework that we give at the end of every episode.
Wow.
Last week, I said as my homework to watch October Faction and let me know if it was good. And about a day after that episode came out, maybe a couple days, I got a text from my mother, Aunt Brown, letting me know that she thought it was worth watching, which I really appreciated because I had not continued it after I talked about it last week.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was patiently waiting for someone to tell me if it was good. And it was pretty good. So.
Fuck.
I love that.
Who was
Thank
that?
you, Aunt Brown.
I punched my mic.
Wow, that's a classic. That's getting its own segment. That was the Ben punches his microphone segment.
Yeah. The intro song is just him punching his microphone. He does it live every time.
That's quality. That's the quality you've come to love and expect.
Is this an episode of Punching My Mic?
Oh.
We have an email.
No, but we should do drinks. We skipped drinks.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we drinking?
Who first?
Who is first?
Me,
Ben.
right?
Baby Ben, what are you drinking?
Ben, what you got?
Water!
He's hydrating.
It's water. I got water to drink and I'm hydrating.
Wow, I like that.
Okay.
Can't confirm he was drinking it.
Nice. Great job, Ben. Stay hydrated. I'm drinking seltzer.
This is our musical
fresh.
episode.
Yeah, I did say that. Oh,
Wow.
Ooh.
Really strong.
Droplets.
Too strong, some might even say.
Some might say that. But I don't know them. Erin, what you drinking?
I have a special podcast drink. Well, let's see. I have an ice water, of course. But I also got this special thing to have as a podcast drink. This is Counterculture Coffee Decaf Slow Motion Single Serve Steeped Coffee Bag. Look at that.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Wait, what? Hold on.
You were reading the email.
What?
She was reading the email. She wasn't listening to me.
It's a steeped
Yeah, she
bag?
wasn't listening to me. It's a
I didn't prep.
It's a Counterculture Coffee Decaf Slow Motion Single Serve Steeped Coffee Bag.
Slow motion?
That's what
that's the name of it.
Slow Motion is
Cool.
the name.
Explain.
Yeah, so it's this, basically it looks like a huge tea bag. It's like probably like 4 times the size of a regular tea bag package.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I'm exaggerating that? Maybe.
It's the size of your whole hand.
Yeah, it's like the size of my whole
No,
hand.
that seems
She
right.
has small hands, though.
And you boil 8 ounces of water. And look at this bad boy. You boil 8 ounces of water.
Jesus.
And then you kind of vigorously, like, steep it up and down for 15 seconds. And then you leave it in for 5 minutes or as long as you want. And basically, it's probably just like instant coffee. But it's tasty. It's nice. It's like a nice cup of strong coffee.
Why don't more people make coffee like that?
Yeah. It tastes great.
It's like hot brew.
Yeah.
Like cold brew.
It's like a hot brew. It's special hot brew coffee. I mean, it makes sense to me that people would put coffee grounds into a filter and then process it through hot water.
You mean brew? It's like a brew.
Brew.
It's like hot brew.
The only reason we say cold brew is because brew itself implies
No,
hot.
you're wrong.
Brew itself implies
Medium.
potion.
Yeah, witch's brew isn't necessarily hot. You're just making assumptions.
Yeah, that could be dry ice in there. You don't know.
You don't know.
Wow. Cool. Well, is it good?
You could be dry ice in
It's
there.
delicious,
You
yeah.
think it's
It's great.
good?
It tastes like a cup of strong coffee.
Cool.
How long have you left your bag in?
Wow.
I left it in for a long time. I just now took it out.
Is that rude to ask?
That's a personal question. That's a highly personal. I would have taken it out sooner if we had done our What Are We Drinking segment sooner, but instead I left it in and it still tastes great. I was checking in on it. So I wanted to let it get weird.
Get weird.
We want to let it
I
get
wanna let
nasty.
it get nasty. Do recommend. Check it out. She's still reading the email. We all know it. You're just not engaging in this podcast because you're reading an email.
I'm just thinking about it's a long email, but I feel like it seems important. So I'm like low on obsession stuff, I guess. But so I thought maybe let's save the email and we'll pop it in the middle and talk about it as like my obsession. And it'll be like kind of like a guest obsession because that's kind of like what it is.
Okay.
Does that make sense for people?
That's fine.
Sure.
Looking around. Okay.
Why the fuck?
Okay,
not?
but I have one more upfront thing because I think you guys will like it.
What is it?
I did share it with the people that I made a we don't use Slack at my work, but we use Teams, which is like the Microsoft version of Slack. And
I use that.
Okay, so I made a like direct message group that was just the people who sit in my row at work, so that I could tell them I wasn't going to be there today, and I could like just keep in touch with them while for however long we're separated because they're a good row, you know. So today I did make a joke that was very funny to me, and I did laugh out loud about it. And so I felt the only thing I could do was to tell the people who would have heard me laughing and asked me what I was laughing about if I was around them. And I feel it was sort of wasted on them because I got like a little bit of response, but not very much. And I think it's just worth more than that.
We're here for you.
Okay. So I was working on, I was like looking at a list of products and like reading them to myself. And one of them, was like a 6-quart casserole, like a cooking, you know, pot that we call a casserole. And I accidentally read it with a hard C as, sasserole. And then it made me laugh so much. It's a soft C. I was trying to think of like, what are some things that you could call a sasserole?
I feel like someone comes to dinner and is like, "What is this? Like, this doesn't taste good." You're like, "Did I ask for sasserole for dinner?" You know,
or like if you make. Go ahead.
No, you go.
If you make a casserole and then it burns you when it's coming out of the oven, you could be like, "Oh, aren't you a little sasserole?"
Yeah, I like that too. I feel like the possibilities are really endless.
Yeah.
If multiple people are sassing you, you could be like, "What did you all get together and make a sasserole?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad that you guys like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Awesome. Any other upfront stuff?
No, but before we begin, I need to run to the bathroom, and I do apologize in advance. But I thought this would be a clean transition for my bathroom segment.
Okay. Wow, we got a comment on one of our YouTube videos.
Is it?
We have YouTube videos?
Wait a minute, we've gotten several comments. Wait.
I didn't know we had YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
every time that we post an episode, it also automatically syndicates to YouTube. So it's just like the whole episode's audio with the little, like our little thumbnail or our little, our little like logo thing. So.
Which episode do we have comments
on? We have a comment from the Comical Canadian that says lovely video. So.
On what episode?
It sleeps me up in my wake. We have another.
Give me numbers.
124.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, did you find us on YouTube?
Yeah.
We have another comment from the Comical Comedian on the same video that says nice content. Got that comment twice. We have another comment from Trap Drip on YouTube who said, "Good, keep it up. Would you like to be YouTube friends?" And then there's a smiley face, which is not even a thing as far as I know. And then, let's see, bake it till you make it. We got a comment from someone named Desmond. It says, "Good vids. You've got yourself a new subscriber. A little tip. Go search for smzeus.com with some spaces, so it's hidden from the censorers or whatever. Ever since I started using it on my main channel, my videos are ranking much better.
It's a bot.
Yeah, that would be a bot. I didn't know we were getting comments on these videos. Oh my gosh, there's another one. Has someone been reading these? I got one from Norwal Music. Cool channel. Keep it up. On episode 88. This has all been happening.
This has all been happening.
Right under my nose.
I can't believe it's all happening.
I can't believe it's all happening. It's really happening for us.
Wow, I was far away from the microphone during that part.
Oh, I could hear you fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna record the rest like this.
Okay. Well, that'll be weird for all of us.
No, it'll be good, I think. I actually think it's really good.
I think what everybody wants is a show that's 1/3 ASMR.
Give me 1 second.
ASMR would be like this. You gotta be right up on the microphone and whisper.
And have a lot of mouth noises near the mic. Well, not like that.
Is this ASMR?
No.
Oh, we don't like that.
We don't like that. Organic.
So that's not ASMR.
Organic mouth noises. Ben, I just gotta give a shout out to your hairdo, which I think is being caused by your headphones. You have like a real like bouffant thing happening.
It's great, yeah.
With your hair.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my headphones really effectively holding my hair out of my face.
Boom.
Yeah, great
Acting
job.
like a hairband of sorts. I needed a haircut before all the barbers close.
Or not.
Yeah.
Just grow your hair out.
My hair's too long.
Just grow your hair out.
Grow your face out.
Ouch.
Yow.
That would hurt.
Yow.
Yow.
Turns out we had a secret weapon. An immigrant. You know and love who's unafraid to step in.
Let's pop in.
He's constantly confusing, confounding the British henchmen. Everyone give it up for America's favorite fighting French Ben.
Oh,
that's my segment
wow.
now.
Whoa. Curveball.
Welcome to me now.
Can I be
Your
coronavirus
favorite
mom?
fighting French Ben.
Can I be coronavirus mom real quick? Ben, since you were at Harvard where somebody recently had the coronavirus, you don't know you could be carrying it, and so I would encourage you to stay away from public places such as barbershops, okay? The end.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool.
I just really wish I had.
I know.
Before now.
I'm just being coronavirus mom. That's the hat I'm wearing. Okay. Let's pop in.
Listen, here, my obsession is an old band.
An old band.
Oh.
An old band. They broke up in 1991.
Wow.
And can I tell you something? This obsession's going to make our father, actually both our parents, Hannah's and my parents, very happy. Because it's a band they love. And it's the Talking Heads.
Oh, it's going to make them very happy.
I almost thought you said, I almost thought you were going to say, it's going to make our father, actually both our fathers. But I no, you don't have two fathers.
They're just great. And here's the story, okay? Here's how I rediscovered them in my life. So, a few weeks ago, backstory, Kylie has a friend at work who has a bunch of Blu-rays, has a big Blu-ray collection, and anytime he recommends a movie to someone, he'll just lend them the Blu-ray because he usually has it. And Coolidge Corner the Coolidge Corner Theater was playing Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads' really amazing concert movie, a few weeks ago, and Kylie, some of her friends from work were going, and she mentioned she hadn't seen it before, and so her friend brought in the Blu-ray, and she brought it home one day, and then told me this story after the event had already happened at Coolidge Corner Theater, not knowing that I love Stop Making Sense and would have loved to go see it live, which was kind of sad. But it's okay because then we watched it later, but not for a while. It was sitting on our TV stand for a while, and one day I was on the way to work. I was thinking of something I wanted to listen to, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Talking Heads. I'm gonna listen to Stop Making Sense, the soundtrack. And I was like, wow, this is really fucking good. Really, really good. And also the recording is incredible. It was recorded in 1983, and it is like super clear. And I was talking to my coworker was an audio engineer for like 20 years and had kind of just started his career around that time. And he was telling me how like everyone in sort of the audio engineering community was like flabbergasted when Stop Making Sense came out because of how clearly it was recorded. They were like, this is like so fucking good. We didn't really know it was possible. And I looked it up, and turns out it is the first movie, like period, first movie to be recorded entirely. Yeah, it turns out it's the first film. Did you know that?
Wow.
No,
stop making sense, Ben.
It's the first movie to be recorded entirely using digital audio.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. And also pioneered the use of 24-track recording, which is a lot of fucking tracks.
Yeah. Jeez.
For recording audio. Oh. But that's why it sounds so goddamn good. And so anyway, I listened to it, and I rediscovered my love for the Talking Heads. And so that Friday, which was last Friday, so a week ago, Kylie and I watched Stop Making Sense together, and she was hesitant because I have played Talking Heads before around her, like in the car and stuff, and she doesn't always like it because I feel like David Byrne's voice can take some getting used to for some people because it is kind of unique, has like an interesting quality to it. But by the end, she was like, wow, that was actually really cool, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, I was thrilled. But then her friend, the one who lent us the movie, was like, was asking what my favorite studio album of theirs was. And I was like, you know what? I haven't really listened to them a ton other than Stop Making Sense. Because, like, our father, Uncle Brown, with, like, pretty frequently just like randomly puts on Stop Making Sense on the TV while he's like doing other things. Have you experienced that, right? Like while he's like cleaning or something, he'll just like put it on.
But I feel like he also pretty frequently just plays random cuts from random albums of theirs.
Yeah, that too. But I realized I hadn't really like dug into their discography that much, so I spent like basically this week listening through most of it, and can confirm it's all really good.
Cool.
My favorite album is Speaking in Tongues, which is the one that they were touring when they recorded Stop Making Sense. But and then part of this inspiration was also David Byrne was on SNL.
Oh yeah.
He's a musical guest on SNL and performed Once in a Lifetime, which is really cool. Yeah, they're just really good. They're like just a classic, great old band. They're like, I think their genre is classified as like new wave or punk, post-punk, I think. They like started out in the punk scene in art school before they became famous.
That's so punk.
It's so punk, dude. They're great.
I've never seen it, but it looks like it's on Amazon Prime streaming.
Stop Making Sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch. It's great.
That sounds great.
It's so good.
It's very good. Do you remember, Ben, were you sober enough to know that Dad and I, on our father-daughter dance at my wedding, we danced to a Talking Head song?
Which one?
This Must Be the Place.
I love that song.
Yeah. Naive melody. Yes. It's one of those things.
That's my favorite Talking Head song.
It's a great song. And it was a great time. It was a long song. Dad and I were both like sweating by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like 5 minutes long.
I remember that. And that was like a really beautiful moment too. Like that was like just a really lovely scene of a life.
Well,
I didn't remember that, but I wouldn't have been able to name that song at that time.
Well, now you can.
Now I can.
Yeah.
Congrats.
You would have heard the song and said, this must be the song.
David Byrne is a cool person. I like his solo stuff too. A lot of it.
Yeah, I'm going to dig into that next. That's my plan, because I've gotten through Talking Heads discography, and I will say, I don't know, in my opinion, it does sort of like tail off towards the end. Like, I don't think their last album or two are great compared to like Speaking in Tongues and Remain in Light. But that's just my opinion.
I really like the song In the Future. That's a David Byrne solo song. I
like that song too.
Yeah, that's a distinctive song. And also another band that Mom and Dad will be happy to know that I remember at least is Tom Tom Club, who I always associate with Talking Heads, even though I don't know if they share any members.
Two of the four members of the Talking Heads are Tom Tom Club.
Oh, cool! Because there's like 1 million people in Tom Tom Club.
Also, they have a like interlude in the middle of Stop Making Sense.
They're great. I love them.
They are great. I like them too. And you know what's funny is that same friend of Kylie's who lent her Stop Making Sense was like, said that he really loves it except for the part in the middle where the Tom Tom Club plays.
What?
And I was like, why? They're great. That's wrong. And then like I spent a whole day where I just couldn't stop thinking about how wrong that was.
You dedicated a whole day to it. You're like, what are you doing today? I'm sitting here thinking about how wrong you are. Oh my god, I love that. Next time somebody says something stupid, I'm going to pull out my phone and they're going to be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm scheduling a day where I'm going to sit in on a chair and think about how wrong you are for the whole day. I won't eat. I won't drink. I won't read. I won't look at my phone. I'm just going to think about this. That's such like a burn in like a really like non-offensive way.
Yeah, you're only hurting yourself, but it's a very funny thing to say to another person.
Yeah, but it's true. It's just I just couldn't.
Sometimes
I don't know what was wrong with me that day.
I felt
it's just like every few minutes pop in my head like, man, the Tom Tom Club's really good.
I feel like I did that just the other day about something. I wish I could remember what it was now, but it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, there's little injustices like you can't let them go. You gotta,
yeah.
You just gotta. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. This is not related, but I was just thinking, like, I'm the person in my office who got everyone to take the whole COVID-19 thing seriously, like, a couple days before the news did, right? And, like, I'm the first one who has to self-quarantine. Like, that's fucked up. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, but you're doing a good thing. You're doing a really good thing, right?
Thank you.
You're paving the fucking way.
Yeah. Anyway, wow. Well, that's exciting. I will probably at least listen to some Tom Tom Club this week because of you, Ben.
I'm gonna watch that fucking
I mostly got there.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Tom Club. Do I know about them?
Erin, do you remember Wordy Rapping Hood or Genius of Love?
I don't know. Tom Tom Club.
Man.
I typed Tom Tom Blub to Spotify. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like I would have played you Wordy Rapping Hood at some point in our childhood.
Genius of Love is sounding so familiar.
Genius of Love was probably their most famous song.
I think it's the one that they play in Stop Making Sense.
But Wordy Rapping Hood is my favorite because it's such nonsense. I love it.
Well, cool. I'll check out all of these things.
Yeah, everyone should watch Stop Making Sense at some point in their life.
Okay.
It's great. It's a cultural touchstone.
Oh. He's throwing it down.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, I cannot stop burping.
Can't wait to touch with my washed hands that touchstone.
Cool. Well, then I guess we should pop into me now.
What's going on with you?
Well, I've been mostly either doing I've been like wildly vacillating between the two extremes of like I want to know every single thing up to the minute that's happening with COVID-19 to I want to be completely distracted and not think about it at all. Like both are like stress panic ish reactions. Like, but I will say, like, actually, as far as like calming myself goes, for me personally, feeling like I know as much as there is to know makes me always like feel a lot better. Like I think we talked about like the links and charts and stuff that Rachel put out into our family Slack. I check them every day. And even though I'm watching the numbers go up near me and far away and all over the world, like it's still calming to me to just like see like raw data. Like I don't really like to read the news about it. But I like to keep up with like the facts of what's going on as much as I can. However, we already talked about a lot of that last week. And also by the time this comes out, like 2 days from now, it'll all be like stale news anyway, because it's changing like every day. So, I want to also give like a shout out, not a full obsession, but like a shout out to, Jenna Marbles and Julian Solomita for generating such an incredible volume of content across all their different channels that I've been enjoying like a lot of fan supercuts of and stuff like that. I watched a 33-minute long like Twitch streams highlights video the other day, and it was like the most like what's the thing? Serotonin? Is that the thing that makes you feel better? Like it was like dopamine. It was like the most dopamine my brain had experienced in days. Like I was just delighted with their whole like on stream tickle fights and like her just annoying the shit out of him for fun, and like also some really funny like play like PUBG moments, because I think it was kind of old because I don't think they play PUBG much anymore. But anyway, I just appreciate them being themselves and being cute. But I don't really have much of an obsession beyond either of those things. So I thought, since it appears that Aunt Brown does, that I would read to you about hers.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So this is an email that we got last weekend. What?
I'm just starting to read it. Sorry.
I haven't actually, I was doing a lot of thinking about this email earlier and scanning, but I didn't actually read it either.
Okay. I'll click off of it and let it be a mystery to me.
Okay, so this is from Aunt Brown. It came in last weekend and sent to our WayTooBroad at gmail.com email address. And this is what she had to say.
Plug.
Yep.
Early email plug.
If you want to send us your obsession, who knows? It might get used as an obsession for someone who's been too...
We might steal it.
We might steal it.
That's an honored spot.
Yeah. Okay, so from Aunt Brown. I fell a bit behind and just listened to episode 124. Shoutouts to Radiati. Woo, woo, Radiati. Ben's mention of Catch and Kill and Harvey Weinstein made me want to make sure we remembered a few other recent investigative journalism triumphs in this arena. The Miami Herald tracked the Jeffrey Epstein story for years. There is one woman reporter in particular, whose name escaped me, who just dogged it. I guess we should look that up for her. Let's see.
Guess she didn't have Google on whatever device she was typing this email.
Her name escapes me. Oh well, we'll never know. Wow, we're really roasting the person who just sent us an email.
Her name is Julie something. Waiting for the article.
We're doing a great job. Julie K. Brown.
Julie Brown? Julie K. Brown.
She's a Brown.
She's a Brown.
Wow. And even then, oh yeah. Yep. Julie Brown is the name of the Miami Herald investigator who dogged it. Good for her. Shout out to Julie Brown, our cousin.
Shout out. We assume. We can only assume she's our cousin.
We can only assume, yeah.
Great job, cousin.
Then the very high-profile trial of the Dr. Larry Nassar. That's what she wrote. The Dr. Larry Nassar.
The witch doctor Larry Nassar.
Physician for the U.S. women's gymnastics team. How did that go on for so long? No one believed the girls. There's an HBO documentary called At the Heart of Gold about this one.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
I would also say this is a personal Hannah talking, not from the email, a personal Hannah, that, right now.
This is your own personal Hannah talking.
Yeah. Right now, these last few months have been kind of a tipping point in, the coverage of a YouTuber called Onision, who I talked about a little bit on the podcast before. He's still not like being prosecuted for anything, but he has been deplatformed from several areas, including Patreon, which is where he was like the only place he was still making money. So that's been good to see. And also the amount of coverage that's, for a long time, it was kind of widely known that you shouldn't like give him any more attention than he's already getting, because he like thrives off of any kind of attention. But like, literally, Chris, what's the name of that guy who used to have, the To Catch a Predator guy?
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen has been like, he started a YouTube channel, and he's been like investigating his whole like story of the things that he's the ways he's victimized various young women. So, you know, it's been good to see that sort of like sort of coverage taking place. So that's another thing, just to add to the list. These are just recent, but what seems to have, this is back to mom now. These are just recent, but what seems to have changed recently, maybe, is the assumption that these are the exceptions, not the rule. Throughout my life, I have, sadly perhaps, chosen to accept that there is a high likelihood of men with power mistreating women and girls. No hidden stories, just observation and survival. This is an old, sad tale. I think vigilance and skepticism are warranted given the long history and our great ability to forget, dismiss, etc. Weirdly, that horrible woman lawyer was pridefully expressing her proficiency at this creepy game. Mm-hmm. I think she's talking about the interview. Did you both listen to that?
Yeah.
I didn't yet.
She was like, no, I never put myself in that position.
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me so much about it, I think, when you listen to that, well, there's plenty of things that bug me about it, but like and I've said this to you guys on Slack before, but like the idea that you are not being responsible as a woman unless you are assuming that most men are just lying to you all the time. Like that's putting a ridiculous amount of responsibility on the woman in that situation. Like ridiculous. Yeah. And that's basically was the lawyer's argument through the whole thing, was like, if someone's telling you that they want to have a business meeting with you, but it's in their hotel room and it's after hours, like, then you should know better, and you shouldn't put yourself in that position, and blah, blah, blah. Well, like, that guy just lied to you in a bunch of different ways to get you there. So why is that your problem and not his problem?
Yeah, and like threatened their careers. I mean, it's disgusting, and obviously there's way more to it than that. It's good. And just pressured them. It's really disgusting.
Right. And also in the case of Weinstein, it's like a gross mischaracterization of a lot of his behaviors to say that he was always inviting people to hotels and after hours. Like, that was one of the places that he lied to people to fuck with them in. But he also just had people come to his office in the middle of the day and had his staff lock the doors and just like did what he was going to do in there.
He would arrange to meet them at the bar, and then they would arrive there, and then somebody would be there and be like, "Oh, he changed it to his room." Like, he would just like, pull the rug out from under them over and over again.
Right. So, yes. So agree that horrible woman lawyer was horrible. Continuing, I think this is why I was so struck the other day with Elizabeth Warren's conversation with Chris Matthews of MSNBC about Bloomberg's reported remark when he found out his assistant was pregnant. Kill it. Yes, that remark was out of line, but honestly, what struck me was Chris Matthews' complete inability to see that the assistant could be believed as a default, not just the powerful rich guy. Oh yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, that was really kind of jarring to see how he reacted to that. And that protecting himself is an incentive to lie. Imagine, that's what normal looks like to most people. For Christ's sake, we can't even get the ERA passed after 50 years, and all it says is, Section 1, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. And then she, like, copy and pasted that pretty much the same thing. well, a part of the ERA or an article or something, but basically says that 50 damn years. Look up Phyllis Schlafly and know that her daughter is out there right now spreading the same BS. Rant concluded. I guess this is my obsession. Same. So it's mine now. Thanks for that. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Mom. Very good rant. And Phyllis Schlafly, I think, was the woman who... Do you guys watch Mrs. Maisel?
Oh, yeah.
She, you know that when she had to go do voice acting? Yeah. I think that was the woman who had written or paid for the offensively sexist voice acting job that she had to do.
Gotcha.
So
everyone was like,
if not her, then
terrible.
Someone yeah. So yeah. Well, and we should mention this week was the week that, along with all the coronavirus stuff, that Harvey Weinstein got sentenced to 26 years in prison.
Yeah.
So I think it is
not long enough.
Yeah, but it does feel like that trial did feel very pivotal in a lot of ways. Like the fact that the women who were the main accusers that were central to the case were not quote unquote perfect accusers, and the fact that the entire counter argument was being framed very much as a Me Too has gone too far sort of thing. It would have it was really good to see that narrative kind of pushed aside. That's not what's happening here.
And that it happened a long time ago too. I feel like that's important. The allegations, the events of the allegations happened a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but Yeah.
It was not, he wasn't found guilty of everything. He, deserves life in prison. He's done this to a lot more women than, were pressing charges in that moment. But it still, it felt like it could have gone a lot worse. And it continues to, sort of force people who don't want to take these things seriously to realize that they're going to have to start taking them seriously. It's not going to be easy for them, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying.
Yep.
So that's it. That's my obsession. That good rant email from Aunt Brown.
Thanks, Aunt Brown.
Thank you.
Great to hear from you.
You saved me.
Who has
Erin?
Her. It's me.
It's you. Welcome to Erin now.
Hello. Honestly, if I were to be honest about what my obsession is, it's social distancing. I know that we've talked a lot about the coronavirus. It was Ben's obsession last week, but I just wanted to take a moment while I kind of had, the spot to talk more about that and I've been doing a lot of reading and about obviously the coronavirus, but more specifically about we're at an interesting point in America because we have, Italy as this parallel, right? We have these countries who have gone before us. We have data coming in on them. And we have, smart people kind of, making models and predictions about, based on what is happening in those populations and what's happening now, what are the likely outcomes of our future as a country, and especially with the actions that we are taking or not taking, or the actions that we could take, and the timeline and the severity of those actions. And so there's this, did you guys see how much worse the coronavirus could get in charts from New York Times article today? I'll put it in Slack here. It has this really interesting chart that's basically it has our today marker, and then it has different scenarios about total cases of coronavirus, the peak, the number of infections at peak, and the number of total deaths. And this chart was really impactful for me because it really showed the difference that can be made with measures such as social distancing, social isolation, and being really aggressive about it. And so like I think like the if things continue as they're going now, the current track, this model predicts that roughly a third of Americans, so more than 100 million people, could become infected. And then the peak number would be 9 million at one time. And that there'll be 1 million deaths, right, in America. Like, that's like I think that this model says at July, right? Or like toward the middle of July. But then if interventions start, right, like what is that, in May, like, in a couple months, like if additional interventions start, that those numbers drop significantly. That's like 4.5 million at the peak. This model says a total of 475,000 total deaths. And then like there's, as you kind of scroll, this chart kind of like moves as, it kind of like that line of additional interventions moves. And if it goes to today, then that number of total deaths at July, this model has it at 324,000 and only 3 million infections at the peak. Sorry. Yeah. So the total deaths, 324,000 and the total infections at peak, 3 million. And then you can kind of from there play with the severity. So assuming additional interventions begin today, like today, right? Like, whenever you're listening to this today, if they're modest, that the numbers I just said are modest, but if you go to aggressive, those deaths drop to 53,000, right? Like this, like, and if you go to mild, they raise to almost, they raise to almost like the numbers that we have, that the model gives us if we just continue as we are today. So that really made a big impact on me. My company on Thursday, like I said, like we went to remote only. I stocked up on groceries thinking like, yeah, I don't want to leave the house unless I have to. And this model really had an impact on me as far as like really thinking about taking that even to the next level, like as seriously as I can, like and just having the desire to really impress that upon the people in my social circle of like, there's not really anything that we can do. The one thing that we can do is just not go anywhere, right? Like really, really like not go anywhere if we can at all help it. And just thinking about like, I was reading another article about like Americans have this really strong individualistic, mindset, right? Like that's our like thing as Americans. We're self-sufficient, we're self-sustaining, we're independent. And so a lot of the mentality is like, well, I'm not at risk of getting sick. No one, there are no confirmed case. I haven't had any interactions with anybody with a confirmed case. Even if I did, I'm not going to get, I'm not at risk of dying, right? When really the attitude is like the reality is like, we don't know how bad it is. We don't know like those actual cases. We don't know who's carrying it and not having symptoms. We don't know if we're carrying it, right? Like we don't know. We just don't know. And the data suggests that it's worse than, than the numbers we have, right? Like the reality is the numbers are higher. And so just like thinking about like we can't be good at scrubbing our hands. We can't be good at not touching our face. But what if we're just like, picking it up and putting it somewhere else for somebody else, to pick up. Whereas if we just stay, in our isolated homes, then that won't happen. So just like really thinking seriously about that. And, that's just been kind of I have a little like Slack group of some friends who have just been like all day sharing articles. And I feel like, I respect a lot of people like don't have the mental headspace for this right now, or like anxiety disorders. I feel like I don't feel a sense of panic or anxiety, oddly. But I feel like, reading these articles have at least helped me take it seriously for myself and want to impress that upon the wider community. So, just like some interesting stuff coming out. And I think it's really interesting, just like, I feel like at least in my community, folks are making some pretty drastic measures. Schools are closing, libraries are closing, public places, but I still fear that if I do have a fear, it's that it's just not aggressive enough because we don't want to appear alarmist. We don't want to, we don't want to feel like we're overreacting. We don't want to like get, made fun of. We don't want to, et cetera, et cetera. When really I feel like at this time, like if you overreact or if you overreact by like just really limiting going anywhere in public, it feels like in hindsight that might actually be like something that makes a huge difference, right? I don't think we'll ever know like how big of a difference that'll make, but it just feels like, it could make an incredible impact. So, that's really just been my obsession, is just like reading about that, learning about that, and thinking about it, preparing for that,
One thing that that's been on my mind, I'm wondering what your thoughts on it are, is that in both China and South Korea, which are the countries that have been called out by the World Health Organization as doing the best job of containing this infection, they are not having people who are sick or suspected to be sick with the coronavirus. They're not having them stay in their homes. They have set up like separated isolation centers. And, so because if you think about, and I was thinking about this, I think it, like, for instance, each one of us, only lives with one other person. So like if they would have been, if we're infected, they probably already are infected, probably. But like, maybe this is more necessary in those cultures because more people live with like larger family units, but so do a lot of people in the US. Like,
well, also like I live in an apartment building.
Yeah. So like, but so that's a thing that kind of like, it not only does it cause fear in me, but I think there's a lot of questions on whether or not Americans would accept that. Like the idea that if they're sick, they have to literally go live somewhere else by themselves.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing that's working. So like I've had that on my mind a lot. I guess my hope, which I don't know if it's backed up by any science, is that if we start doing, the sort of type of social distancing that we've been advised to do in the US early enough and effectively enough, then that doesn't become necessary. Because one thing about Italy is that they really did not take it seriously at all at first. Right. Like, based on what I've heard, like there was one like guy I was just hearing today, one like political leader in like Milan or something who was like literally out meeting with like kids and talking about how like, oh, Milan's out, like just like on Twitter, like with the hashtag about how Milan's like carries on or whatever, like trying to downplay the, sort of like the president was doing like, and now he's he's tested positive for coronavirus. Shocker.
Just a fucking shit show.
So not the president. I mean, he hasn't been tested. He
won't get tested. He won't do it.
He said he would today.
Okay.
But
I'll believe
really
that when I see it. I just feel like there's no way that he's not going to get it / doesn't already have it. Like,
he's already been exposed to a Brazilian official.
He's been exposed to it a couple times because he was at CPAC too. Yeah. And it was there. I mean, I guess it all depends on how efficiently it actually spreads, but by all evidence, it spreads pretty fucking efficiently.
Yeah. It is a pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. So, So that'll be a whole other thing. But, that does sound scary. I haven't read too much about that. I've just been thinking more about like, how do we avoid that?
Yeah.
How do people who are healthy, and young, right? Like I'm thinking about like the people who are not worried about the what I'm blanking on the word, the segment of people I'm most like thinking about, like worried about not taking seriously, are the people who are like really not going to get sick or are going to get like head cold symptoms and who are like being like, oh, it doesn't apply to me.
I was describing it earlier this week to my coworkers as my cool catchphrase for it that I came up with is vectors and victims. Like we're we're all much more likely to be disease vectors than victims of this disease in terms of like actually dying or having to go to the hospital. But we all know and love people who are much more likely to be victims than we are. So, so that's sort of like, I think the really important thing to remember is like, and you heard it a lot. I think it's really hard because you have to be like, okay, we need to take this really seriously. We shouldn't panic, but we need to take it seriously. And like, it's really hard to, even as someone who's like been obsessively researching it, to be in that headspace, to then ask somebody who has not had the room in their mind for whatever reason, whatever else is going on in their life, to like, you know, to then like try to walk that line with you is very difficult. Like, and to be honest, I'd rather people be panicking and holding up because they're like afraid it's going to be apocalyptic, even though we know that's not exactly that we should be expecting. You know, I'd kind of rather that than they all just like go around like nothing is wrong.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right. Like I feel like the official recommendation is still like go to work as normal, right? Like I feel like the national response, obviously we all know, has been extremely lacking. And like with caveats of like, there are people who cannot afford to not go to work right now because they cannot work remotely. Like these are all like, I even feel like making room for people who have to go to work, you know, and it's been on my mind too about like our local community, you know, of like restaurants and event spaces that we love and that are dear to us are going to be suffering in this time. So thinking about like how we can support them without actually physically being there, right? Like that sort of thing. So just like thinking a lot about that and just like, you know, it does also feel really good to know that there is like one concrete thing that we can do, right? It's not, you know, in this like helpless time of like, there's so much going on and it's hard to know like what's going to happen, to have like an action item to cling to. It feels really good. And to like cling to it and to like, you know, enact it in the most aggressive way possible that I can, right? That I personally can. That like feels good to me. I don't know. And it feels good and important. So yeah. It's a weird time.
It's a weird time.
It is weird. It's been a weird mood on campus this week.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
With all the students leaving.
Are you doing remote learning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was it's kind of weird because like the students thing was announced Tuesday that they all had to leave, and they didn't announce that staff were working from home till Thursday. And part of that was because, like, we had to be on campus preparing for them to be off campus, sort of. Like, I had to do a lot of prep work for like a kind of instructional lab I'm running at the beginning of April that is now happening remotely. But I had to, like, put together lab kits that all the students could take home. And, like, there's a lot of work that had to be done on campus, unfortunately, which is why they kind of delayed the announcement for staff. And why I was still in to work today, but we're not allowed to be in work starting on Monday.
Do you have like work that you can do remotely?
Yeah, I do have to bring some equipment home, and I take the T to work, which is also unfortunate. So I'm glad I'm working from home for that reason, but I do have to go pick up stuff tomorrow, but that's my only planned outing for the weekend, and I'm going to drive there.
Nice.
So I'm not getting on the T at all, and I'm just going to go into the building, get my stuff, get out, and drive home.
Nice.
Hopefully not interact with anyone.
Well, this episode has had quite a tone to it.
Listen, we're coming as we are, okay?
Listen, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. I honestly like
bone here.
I feel like this was very cathartic for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but like, I hope it's cathartic for people listening to it and not just like a downer. And maybe if it's a downer now, maybe it's just don't. Oh, it's too late to warn you at this point. So sorry.
Maybe just shut it off.
They would have, like everybody should just do what's right for their physical and mental health at this time. And that's what we're doing. And we had like a mostly rant episode. We had some jokes.
I feel so bad for all the students at Harvard and everywhere. Just the students that I interact with in particular. Because it's just like suddenly they have to move out. And I mostly work with seniors. And like they thought they're like not going to be able to see their friends again before they graduate.
Jeez.
They just like have to move out by Sunday. It's crazy.
Do they have places to go?
Well, some of them.
Wow.
Some people are going home. But, like, the thing, it sucks because, like, before this was announced, before that announcement, the guidelines were, like, no universally related travel and, like, strongly discouraging even domestic travel if you can avoid it. So I think a lot of students, like, canceled their trips back home, potentially, and then had to, like, buy really expensive plane tickets.
Jesus.
And then there are, like, international students who can't go back home, potentially, or it's kind of a clusterfuck, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're dealing with it, I guess.
Dang.
Sucks.
Well, I will say, for those who are social distancing, schedule all of the video chats and hangouts. I was even thinking we should get a D&D game or dungeon crawler game going.
That would be really nice.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. That would be. I think it's like really important to continue socializing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the ways that we can. Something I appreciated. Actually, was just thinking before we came in here that I was appreciating having this podcast about. It's also like, if you don't have a group chat or Slack or whatever with your friends, like, or your family, do that. Because that's been also really nice already, having that with our family and talking about stuff. So, yeah. Keep socializing. Just do it from the safety of your home.
Technology. Use that technology.
Cool.
That's all I got. That's it for me.
Wow. Well, God, I can't stop burping. This whole episode is just one big burp. For me. Yes, let's do homework. Ben, what's your homework?
My homework is while you're social distancing, stuck in your home, watch Stop Making Sense.
Okay.
Apparently it's on Amazon Prime. Great movie. It's the first movie
ever.
And landmark.
Listen to other Stop Making Sense or other Talking Heads stuff because they're great. And Tom Tom Club. And David Byrne's solo stuff. Listen to it all.
Baby.
Oh, my goodness. My homework is believe women, I guess, and send us your email obsessions so that I can use them as my obsession. Did I say email obsessions?
You did.
Email us your obsessions.
Email obsessions.
It's the best thing I'm at.
It's the best thing I'm at.
Yeah, our email address, just to give it an extra little plug, is WayTooBroad@gmail.com. And my social medias, all at Anthropology. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, but I really only lurk anywhere at this moment. And I'm also on Twitch, though not really, but if I ever do stream again, which also seems like a good self-quarantine activity.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about my social media.
Yours is twitch.tv/discogreg.
Wow.
And mine is twitch.tv/Anthropology.
Dope.
Yep. And also you're on Twitter at nicely proved Ben.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That's good.
Thanks.
Who needs me?
Erin, what's your homework?
My homework is to social distance. If you have the means and just please do. As aggressively as you can, I think. Let's see. My Twitch, which I haven't been streaming, but I'd like to. Boy, I've been wanting to get back to that little game.
I'm going to stream a bunch while I'm working from home.
Hell You're going to stream your whole workday?
Yeah, I'm going to stream my whole workday.
It's like, are you going to be working or streaming?
Watch an electrical engineer work. No, I just mean that I won't have a commute.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right when I'm done working, so I can just stream.
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
I'm not going to do anything else.
Yeah, I'm not going on my Savannah trip, but I'm keeping the days off. Molly happened to take those days off because she wanted just some time off, and so we're just going to have like a self-quarantine staycation, like a really staycation. So that'll be fun. / interesting.
I saw this before you continue, just on the point of like trying to do like things like staycations from your house. I saw this thing starting up on Twitter that I feel like is going to become like a big thing. I just have this sense it's going to, where people were like, are you missing like your interactions at like the Cheesecake Factory? Tell me your name and the number of people in your party and I'll give you a realistic like interaction. I feel like people are going to start like Twitter role playing like random social situations.
Oh my God, I love that. I feel like I'm interested to see like the good things that come out of this. Like that, like for every bad thing, there's going to be like something's going to get invented or something like a thing like that. Like something really funny is going to happen. Like I just feel like there's going to be some interesting silver linings that I'm looking forward to seeing in hindsight. Alongside of the devastating economical impacts, like alongside of this, I'm looking forward to. I stream sometimes Ocarina of Time randomizer, Twitch TV, .com. No, Twitch TV /
That was the wrong top level domain.
Oh, that's why I did it. Twitch.tv / ERNBRN_OG, Ernburn OG, okay, Ernburn
Oh, man, I'm surprised that Twitch doesn't have twitchtv.com, actually. I feel like that happens a lot.
Can we buy that? Is that available?
Oh, please.
Hold on.
Let's sell it to Bezos.
I feel like every 5 episodes I buy a domain name like on air.
It's very McElroy's.
I'm searching for it. Please hold. twitchtv.com. It is Twitch Cham. It's not available. Wait, where is it not? Twitchcham.com. Wait, why isn't it? It's already registered.
Oh, boo.
Yeah.
Oh, boo.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I want to play it. I want to play the new Animal Crossing.
Whoops.
You and everyone else.
I know.
Is that true? It's just something.
It is true.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's all for me.
That's it. For the podcast, you can call us and tell us your obsession. That's a good self-quarantine activity you can do at 774-326-0420.
Blaze
it. Another good quarantine activity you can do, as long as you already have your weed in your home and no one else has touched it. We're on Twitter at @2broadpod. We're on Instagram at WayTooBroad. We're on the email. Send us your email obsessions, waytoobrod@gmail.com. I have another podcast called So Dreamy. We talk about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming back. Well, I have to talk to Rachel about it. I don't know if the whole pandemic situation changes anything there, but we'll talk about it. WayTooBroad.com for anything that you want, including a topic index of everything we've ever talked about. EarnBen.com for anything you need. Very important website and domain. And leave us a review, please. And we love you.
We love you.
We love you. Stay safe out there. The podcast candle is now extinguished.
And the theme tune is now playing.
Goodbye.
Bye.